There are mornings when the universe just decides to throw a brick through your window, metaphorically, I mean. For me, it showed up as a cream-colored envelope trembling in my hand while I squinted at my house and tried to wrap my brain around one word: aggressive. Aggressive. That's what the letter said in all its heavy official glory. As if my house, my humble, gentle, peachy little house, had thrown on a leather jacket, revved a motorcycle, and gone terrorizing the suburbs. Let's get this straight. The paint wasn't even close to anything wild. The can said, "Summer Whisper." Whisper, for crying out loud. We're talking about the kind of color that wouldn't even have the nerve to raise its hand in class. The sort of pastel that you'd expect on a cupcake at a baby shower, or maybe crocheted into your aunt's bathroom decor. Not the kind of thing you'd peg as a visual crime against humanity, but the Whispering Pines, HOA. Apparently they thought I'd let loose a paint bomb right in the middle of their beige paradise. According to the president herself, Linda Halloway, my house was practically inciting an uprising. Visual aggression, the letter called it, like I'd launched a campaign to overthrow Tope and bring down the reign of sand dune. For 5 years I lived in a house the color of damp cardboard. One neighbor was dry cardboard, the other maybe moldy envelope if we're being generous. All I wanted was a splash of something different, something that said, hey, someone actually lives here. So, yeah, I paid good money for that paint job. Stood outside, morning coffee in hand, feeling, if only for a moment, a flicker of pride. That's when Linda showed up. You could smell the lavender detergent and see the judgment coming a block away. There she was, visor perfectly cocked, floral blouse fitted like body armor, clutching her clipboard like it was her constitutional right. "Good morning, Mark," she said, voice dripping with that particular flavor of suburban superiority, half sugar, half snake venom. I didn't even get a chance to breathe before she was quoting bylaws at me. Apparently, I'd single-handedly thrown the universe out of balance. "Sand dune," she said, waving a color swatch like it was holy scripture. "That's the standard. My peach 3 deviations away on the saturation scale." The horror. My house was practically neon, her words, not mine. "And the fine's $500 a day. Retroactive. If that doesn't wake you up, nothing will. Repaint it or we proceed with the lien process," she declared, click-clacking down the sidewalk like she was auditioning for a villain role in a Disney reboot. Let's talk about that moment. Coffee and hand letters spread on the counter. I felt it, the cold slap of reality. It wasn't just about paint. It wasn't about colors or curb appeal. It was about control. The HOA ran this street like a tiny beige dictatorship, and I'd just staged a pastel coup. So I read the rules. All 400 pages of them. Section 4, exterior aesthetics, blah blah, earth tones, neutrals, nothing that may be deemed aggressive. Deemed. That word's a trap. No numbers, no science, just vibes. Whatever the board decided that morning, that was the law. Fine. They wanted a fight. They were going to get one. I'm an engineer. I live and breathe data, not opinions. I started collecting evidence. Printed charts, snapped photos of the house under every kind of light, even pulled up a university study proving pastel orange was calming. I was building a case and I was ready. At the next HOA meeting, the scene looked like something out of a Kafka novel. Folding tables, bad coffee, stale donuts, and 5 residents who'd clearly lost in rock, paper, scissors to be there. The board sat on their little stage, Linda right in the center, gavel like a scepter. "Next item, 404 Oak Lane," she announced. That's me. I laid out my case, scientific, rational, completely reasonable. My paint wasn't aggressive, not by any metric anyone on earth would use. Peach is a fruit, comes from the earth tone. Karen, the secretary, yep. Her actual name tried to argue that, by my logic, a fire truck was an earth tone too. Didn't really matter. They'd made up their minds before I even walked in. Linda dropped the hammer. Fine stood, the color was salmon, I swear it wasn't, and she hit me with another day's penalty for good measure. The whole room went quiet. That silence told me everything these people weren't in charge fear was. Now here comes the twist. I'd noticed a line in the bylaws buried deep in the legal mumbo-jumbo. No rule could infringe on sincerely held religious beliefs or prevent spiritual symbols. Huh. My brain started spinning. If aggression was the problem, What about a spiritual solution? I called up Tony, the only contractor I know who'd paint a house just for spite. Tony, how do you feel about stripes? I mean like zebras. Dazzle camouflage World War I style. He was in before I finished explaining, especially after I offered to pay triple for a spite job. But I wasn't done. I went online, filled out forms, and in less than 48 hours, I was the legally ordained high refractor of the Order of the Refractive Stripe, our sacred geometry zebra stripes, nature's own camouflage, mission to seek clarity through confusion. I printed my certificate, framed it, and set it right by the door. 3 days later, the circus arrived. Scaffolding went up, paint cans everywhere. The first layer blinding white. Next came the Vanta black. Geometric, jagged, dizzying. It looked like an optical illusion built to ward off low-flying aircraft. By lunchtime, Linda came barreling down the street, face beet red, screeching about visual assault and threatening OSHA. Tony, bless him, told her she needed a hard hat. That's when the police showed up. Officer Miller, tired and already regretting his life choices, took one look at the house, one look at Linda, and declared civil matter. Take it to court. He even threatened to ticket Linda if she kept calling 911 for paint emergencies. I could have hugged the guy. The house. Well, it went viral. Photos plastered across the internet. People driving in from the next county just to take selfies with the world's weirdest house. I bought a 6-foot fiberglass zebra, stuck it in the yard, draped a sash over it, and called it the Prime Refractor. Every noon, I'd bang a big brass gong on the porch and shout clarity, not loud enough to break the noise ordinance I checked, but weird enough to make the neighbors nervous. The HOA's lawyers eventually showed up, slick suits, fancy briefcases, the whole 9 yards. Their offer: drop the fines, buy the house at pre-zebra price, plus a chunk for emotional distress. I even got Linda to write an apology. Not a bad haul for a little legal jujitsu. The day I moved out, I hosted one last ceremony, 50 people in zebra print. A parade of cars up and down the street, the whole neighborhood gawking. Linda stayed behind her curtains, a ghost of her former self. She'd been voted out as president. Justice karma. Or maybe just plain exhaustion from trying to keep the world beige. Now here's the kicker. For all the drama, for all the crazy twists, you'd think the moral would be about standing up to power, or painting outside the lines, literally. But it's simpler than that. What I learned right there on my porch, banging my gong and waving goodbye, is that real freedom isn't in the paint or the paperwork. It's in refusing to let anyone else tell you what's beautiful or right or safe. Sometimes the only way to find peace is to make a little noise. So here's where I leave you with the image of me rolling out of that neighborhood zebra, bobbing behind my truck, cash in my pocket and a smile on my face. The law didn't win that day. Stripes did. And Linda, she got to keep her beige cold comfort in a world suddenly full of color. But think about this. When does keeping order turn into crushing individuality? Where's the line between community and conformity? Ever had to go nuclear just to make a point? Drop your story below. Tell me where you stand on justice, revenge, and the right to be a little weird. I'll be out here somewhere down Route 9. Maybe painting my next house with giant red polka dots just to see who notices.